Hi, this is Phil Shapiro. I've been reading a really interesting book, The Open Organization by Jim Whitehurst. Jim is the CEO of Red Hat. It's a large Linux company. And I work at a public library. I read a lot of books by different CEOs, and they all pretty much sound alike. I gotta tell you, there's not a lot of differentiation between books written by business leaders. They have so many buzzwords in them. But this book is quite different, I have to admit. This book is about a shift in organizational culture. The main thesis that Jim has is that if a business, small or large, wants to be competitive in the modern fast-paced day, it needs to be able to have a structure which has less hierarchy and more participation on the employee's part. So I want to read just a few quotes from this book. Some of them are rather amusing, I found. So before Jim became CEO of Red Hat, he was the CEO of Delta Airlines. And he explains in the book how the shift of organizational culture, he had like a culture shock when he came to Red Hat. At Delta, for example, I led a massive organization of men and women who grew up in a world of hierarchy, who reliably followed the chain of command. So I was surprised to realize that at Red Hat, I had to build credibility. Early on, I issued what I thought was an order to create a research report. A few days later, I asked the people assigned to the task how things were going. Oh, we decided to scrap that. We decided it was a bad idea, so we scrapped that. That's a difficult concept for many of my peers in other companies to embrace. Other CEOs to whom I've told the story have gasped, "What do you mean they didn't do what you asked them to? That's insubordination. You should have fired them." So that's the change of culture that he is advocating. And there's another passage in this book that I found rather interesting where he's talking about employee morale. He makes this very wise point that morale is not something that you just boost on demand, something superficial. Morale is something that is a consequence of doing meaningful work and having dignity in your workplace. So when he was at Delta, Jim Whitehurst was asked, "What are you going to do about morale?" And his answer was nothing. Morale is an output of many things. If employees believe in and are passionate about their purpose, and if they have the tools they need to do their work, they'll likely have a high morale. So that's a very wise comment. We often hear in the workplace where people do kind of events that will boost morale, rather than think of structural ways of making the work more meaningful or create greater dignity for people. This is an interesting book, I have to say. I haven't finished reading it, but I highly recommend The Open Organization, Igniting Passion and Performance by Jim Whitehurst.